everybody, thank you so much for joining me today on the meditation channel. My name is Jacqueline. I'm your meditation coach, and I don't know if we're going to do a meditation today, to be quite honest. But I thought I would take the time today to start the camera and talk to you. So this is a topic that I have noticed being quite an issue in a lot of people's lives that I personally know. I even saw the other day a lady posting a TikTok about this subject, which is lack of self-confidence. Now, this is a serious issue I think that a lot of people suffer from, and it is an issue because it really stops you from achieving, moving forward in life, being your best self. I mean, you name it. It's something that really can get in the way, and if anything, it can really destroy some people's lives. In the example of the lady on the TikTok story, I really felt for her because one of the things that she said was like, I know that I need to stand up for myself. I know that I have to put my foot down. And she did do it, but then she felt bad about it. She could not let go of the guilt. She was so worried about what other people think, what other people thought of her. And she had this innate fear of being the bad guy, basically, essentially. And this is one of the things that I noticed why a lot of people lack confidence. So let's just first begin by defining what confidence is. Now, what makes the difference between somebody who is confident and somebody who is not confident is that the person who's not confident will allow those feelings to dictate their actions. While as somebody who is confident will feel those feelings and yet push through them. So innately, confidence is an action, really, when it comes down to it. So if you have the ability to overcome those negative feelings, those fears, those doubts, whatever it may be that is holding you small, that is keeping you stagnant, and if you can learn to just separate your thoughts with your feelings, because sometimes we really need to learn how to do that. Sometimes it's important to lead with your heart, but other times it's important to lead with your mind, the knowingness. So even though I feel like this, I'm still going to do it. So once you can learn to do that, then that's when you build confidence. Think about it this way. When you were born, you weren't confident in walking or reading or riding a bicycle, whatever it is that you had to do for the first time, even getting your license for those of you who don't live in New York, who don't have to drive. You know, you're not confident when you first begin something. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of what ifs. But what builds confidence is the constantly doing it, the failing, getting back up again. And unfortunately in society, we've been taught that failure is a very bad thing. You know, if you fail, you're a bad person, or you're a failure, you know. And if you really think about it, if you look at anybody who's a multimillionaire or somebody who's been very successful, they will tell you that the reason why they're successful is because they failed and they failed and they got back up again, and they failed and they got back up again. Now that's why they build confidence. Now, I see self-confidence and empowerment as very similar. And the definition of power is really the ability to affect or influence somebody else or your environment or even yourself. So once you start building confidence, you also create power. And I think sometimes for a lot of people, when they just think about confidence in itself, there's an association to it that there's a subconscious resistance to it. A lot of people think of confidence as being arrogant, as being cocky, as being dominating. And obviously a lot of people also have a lot of negative connotation with, negative association with power. Because a lot of people think about power as somebody, once again, who's dominating, who doesn't care about other people, egotistical, all this sort of stuff. The truth of the matter is that this is not true. Now, self-confidence and power can be used for negative things. I want you to think of like power and self-confidence as a tool. Let's use a knife. Now, a knife can kill, a knife can cut. But also a knife can cook, help you cook. A knife can cut ropes if you're tired. A knife can spread butter. A knife can be, I don't know, now can't think of any other examples, but the point is, it's a tool. Now, how you use that tool determines the outcome. I can use this knife to harm, or I can use this knife for good. And like anything, I think a lot of people have this ideology that overcomes logic. And this is something that I've noticed a lot in women, especially, I think. But, you know, if a woman comes into the room and starts talking about how she feels beautiful today, how she feels confident, how she loves her body, how she just felt like she looked 10 years younger today, you're going to get different reactions. And some people are going to go, wow, she's so up herself. And other people are going to look at her going, wow, I wish I had that confidence. But if somebody comes in and puts themselves down, oh, I feel so ugly today. I don't feel like, oh, I just, you know, I'm getting old. And like, somehow I feel like that might be a little bit more acceptable. Now, prove me if I'm wrong here. Leave a comment below and just let me know what you think about this. But this is something that I've personally noticed. There'll be a lot more resistance to somebody who's confident than there is somebody who has low self-esteem, or really who's trying to appear humble, right? Because humble is not threatening. Self-esteem and power is considered as a threat. So I want you guys to start thinking about, first and foremost, why do you have resistance to being confident? Now, I want you to think about the ideologies when it comes to that, right? So if I am somebody who's confident, what does that mean? Does it mean people are going to think that I'm not myself? Does it mean that people are not going to like me anymore? Does it mean that people are going to see me as a threat? Or does it mean that I can actually change my life? I can build power and feel good about myself. So you might have a little bit of both in there. But once again, you got to understand that the ideology of something doesn't necessarily mean that it's the truth. It can be something that was put upon you by society, by your parents, I don't know what, but this happens to us, unfortunately. So one of the things I want you guys to really think about is like, how can I start building power for myself? And I think one of the number one things that we have to start looking at is, like I just said, is your beliefs. But most importantly, your resistance to that very thing that you want. I'll give you an example. If you want to make a lot of money and you want to be a millionaire, but you walk down Rodeo Drive, for those of you who don't know, is like a really ritzy area here in Los Angeles in Beverly Hills. Notice how you feel. Notice the thoughts that you have. Notice that you see somebody with a Lamborghini. What do you think is like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I love that car. Or are you going to be like, who the hell does that person think they are? That reveals to you the resistance that you have. Therefore, you don't believe that you are worthy of that because you have a negative ideology to being wealthy. And so it's the same thing when it comes to confidence or power, because once again, I see them as a very similar thing. So you got to ask yourself, when I see somebody who's really powerful, who's really confident, how do they make me feel? What are the emotions that come up in myself that are negative, that are in resistance to that bring up fear, that bring up doubt? And that's going to reveal to you a lot of the subconscious resistance that you have towards that. Now, once you become aware of that, that is the thing that you need to work on. If you don't work on your subconscious fears, then you cannot move forward. It's like having an anchor and you're on a boat and you're just putting up more sails. Okay, so you know, you're having this struggle. So the resistance is the anchor. So all you have to do is lift that anchor, work on the resistance so that you can allow the rest to take place. And an example of that woman with the TikTok, if you think about it, her subconscious resistance was that she didn't want to be seen as a bitch. She didn't want to be seen as a bad person. And somehow speaking up for yourself and standing up for yourself in her mind means that you're a bitch, means that you're a bad person. But it's not the truth. It's once again what you've been projected upon. She could have grown up in a family where women were told to look pretty and not to have an opinion. And if you have an opinion, you're a bad person, or you're not womanly enough. I don't know what the thing is. But this is something for you to start looking at. The other thing I want you guys to look at is your upbringing. What beliefs from your social environment, from your parents, was passed down to you? Now, for instance, with my mother, I noticed when I was growing up, she did not have a lot of confidence in some aspects, like any person. The few things that I noticed the most with her were her self-image. She would put herself down a lot because she didn't look perfect enough. And the other thing, she was never really a fighter. She became more of a fighter as she got older, as I grew up. Also, she had me as a daughter, so that kind of comes with the territory. But I noticed that she would just be very submissive, and she didn't want to fight. She didn't want to argue. And so I kind of picked up on some of those traits. And I noticed myself as I was growing up doing what she was doing. But I also noticed that those behaviors made me feel terrible. They made me act out of alignment with my authenticity, with who I really am. And the truth is, I feel like I'm a very powerful person. I feel like I have the power to affect and influence people, which is probably why I started doing a YouTube channel. I believe that I have the power to influence and affect myself, my subconscious patterns, my subconscious beliefs. So my beliefs, my true beliefs, were not in alignment with my actions. So I would allow people to walk all over me. And this is where we give our power away. This is why we lose self-esteem. This is why we lose self-worth. It's because instead of doing what is right for us, we put other people before ourselves. And oftentimes we do this to people that don't even matter to us. So I want you guys to really start thinking about this, right? In what ways do I give my power away? In what ways am I out of alignment with my truth, with who I really want to be or wish to become? Now, this is where the feelings of the mind are going to have some issues. This is also not something that you guys are going to be able to do overnight. It's not something that you're going to be able to change overnight. If you have an imprint, a subconscious imprint that if I speak up for myself, I'm a bad person, and you've been believing this since you were a child, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to let that go, okay? But like anything, practice. It's okay if you fall down. It's okay if you do a mistake, okay? And if anything, you got to start thinking of mistakes as a good thing, not as a bad thing. You don't learn from succeeding. You learn from when you really fall down and you fail. So this is something that I think that you just need to start rewiring the way that you've been seeing things and start really stepping outside of yourself and having that bird's eye view. I think that's really going to help a lot of you with the confidence. Another thing when it comes to confidence is lack of self-trust. So when you don't have self-worth, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your opinion, you don't trust your feelings, so you just basically don't trust yourself. And once again, you put everybody else's opinion of you before your own, or everybody else's feelings before your own. And so you'll shove your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, or whatever it is on the back burner and just allow other people's to be ahead of the game. So self-trust is really, really important. So what does it mean to build self-trust? Now, I want you to start asking yourself, where in my emotions I don't trust myself? Where in my thoughts I don't trust myself? Where in my actions I don't trust myself? And when you don't trust yourself, other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, or whatever it may be, basically go ahead of you. And so then you once again don't have any power, so you're allowing everybody else to have power over you. Okay, so how do we begin to overcome this lack of self-worth? Well, like I said, we need to just first become aware of the resistance, the aspects of you that are programmed to believe certain things. Then I want you to start to stretch out of your comfort zone. Face it till you make it. This is my favorite saying, okay? This is where you can start tiptoeing into taking action. I'm going to just use the woman again on the TikTok where she did speak up for herself and she actually took the right action, but then those negative emotions came up. So if that does happen, then what do you need to do? Well, I need to heal that part of me that believes that I am not worthy of speaking up for myself, that I believe that I cannot do this, that I am not smart enough, not brave enough, not strong enough, whatever that story may be. So I'm going to give you guys an example of what it's like to face it till you make it, or take action and not listen to your feelings. My first language was really Italian, even though I was born in Australia. I moved to Italy when I was 5 or 6. So I didn't do any schooling in Australia, so I never learned how to read and write in English. All my schooling was done in Italy. And then when I was 13, I moved back to Australia and I was thrown into high school with no skills of reading and writing in English. I was actually doing pretty well in school in Italy, but when I went to Australia, I lost my confidence because it was like I had to learn how to read and write all over again. Now I've realized in my 30s, I don't know if this is a development of that feeling of not being confident or the language barrier, whatever, but I'm pretty sure I also have dyslexia because I tend to swap words. I can read a sentence that doesn't even make sense. It's a whole thing, okay? I have every reason in the world to not pursue my dream of being a writer. And I wouldn't even say it's a dream, it's more of like a need, a necessity. So I've learned to put my desires above my fears. So I am now currently writing my fourth book, published to and possibly publishing through a publishing company, my third book. Book of Realms, by the way, I'm gonna let you guys know when it comes out. I'm super excited about this book. It's like, Anyway, here's the thing. I understood that if I allowed my fears to be at the forefront of my desires, I would have never, ever, ever, ever written the book. I stopped caring about other people's opinions when I started seeing the truth of other people, which is when they just project their own insecurities, their own fears, their own doubts onto me. You know, I worked at this bar when I first came to Los Angeles, and I remember talking to a few people there. I think one was the manager and another staff member. These two people really wanted to be like writers as well. And it was amazing to me how quick they were to put me down and how quick they were to belittle me when it came to me talking about my writing and wanting to do this and wanting to do that. There was like this you know. Ironically, I don't believe any of them have ever written anything. And I believe they're still working at that bar. I think it's like 5 years now since I've been here. Now, could you imagine if I allowed their opinion to matter? That one opinion to bring me down and make them write over me? Guys, we do this all the time. I have learned to listen to the opinion of someone who I respect, who I value, and whose life I want to be living. I am not going to get advice about money from somebody who's homeless. I'm going to listen to somebody who is a multimillionaire. Yet we give everybody this power. We give everybody's opinion importance. And we forget that they are just as insecure as we are. So in the end of the day, if you want to build confidence, you really have to start doing some healing. I mean, to me, healing is one of the most powerful tools that we have as humans, and we really underestimate the power of healing. When you heal these programmings, these beliefs, but of course, number one, you have to be aware of what they are. Now, you may need some help. You may need to go and seek a counselor or a spiritual healer, or you may need to start meditating every day on building confidence. Whatever that is for you, the point is you need to start taking action. You are not going to build confidence by sitting there and thinking about it, by reminiscing in it, by allowing those negative emotions to dictate your actions. You have to overrule those feelings with actions. I started my YouTube channel because it's something that I wanted to do. Of course, I was afraid of judgment. Of course, I was afraid of people's opinions of me. My own family. My family's not into this woo-woo stuff, okay? My dad thought I was nuts. But at the end of the day, I have learned that I am putting my passions, my desires before my fears. And if that means I'm gonna make a fool of myself, so be it. I watched so many videos of those multimillionaires, those successful people, and they all say the same thing. I was afraid, I didn't want judgment, I didn't want this, but I did it anyway. So what is it that you want, and what are you willing to do to get it? What is it that you have to overcome within yourself? People are gonna think good or bad of you, whether you're Hitler or whether you're Gandhi. People are gonna have an opinion of you no matter what you do. And I always think of it this way, at the end of the day, on your deathbed, you're gonna be left with you. You can have people around you, but those last moments, it's just gonna be you and you. And so when I think about that, it's like looking back, did I allow the opinion of others to make decisions for me? Hell no. Who do I want to see myself in my last breath? Who do I want to be in those last moments? I want to be proud of myself. Of course, I'm probably not gonna be able to do everything that I want to do. I still have to work on a lot of things. For instance, relationships is one of those for me. I have a hard time in big social groups. I still have a lot of insecurities around that. I don't think that people like me very much because I am strong. I have an opinion. I'm a lot of things. But at the same time, that doesn't stop me from being myself. That doesn't stop me from showing up. And also, I truly believe that the more I work on myself, the more I heal, that one day I will find my tribe. I will find my people. I will find myself. And I'm going to be okay with it. Okay, so I hope this helped. I just thought I've been deciding to do this thing where I'm just going to pick up the camera and just sit down and have a chat with you guys, because I think these conversations are really important. And I really want people to heal. I really want people to help themselves get better, you know, especially when it comes to this subject of lack of confidence. You know, I see it so often that people just don't write that book. They don't do that class. They don't start that business. And it may not even be a success, whatever you're going to start, but it's definitely going to lead to something else. And it's definitely going to lead you to closer to who you really are. If you're going to stay small, your reality will be small. Try something new today. Be brave. Use your brain, not your heart. Like I said, sometimes the heart should definitely lead. But when there's fear, when there's doubt, when there's insecurity, logic has to take over. It's funny how I'm saying that and I'm a meditation channel. Like I'm all about like feelings and energy and emotions. And I'm like, use your brain. Don't listen to your feelings. But you guys, I hope you really know what I mean when I when I say this. All right, so I don't want to make this video too long. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know also if you're enjoying these videos, you want me to do any more chats with you. Feel also free to sift through my library. I have so many meditations, you guys. I have over 300 meditations that I have made over the years. And you can literally almost find anything. I have written books. Everything, by the way, is in the link below. I have made a manifestation course for you that is only $15, okay? And it's on Udemy, I believe. So it basically teaches you the basics of how to help you to manifest and heal and change your life. I have made 21-day meditation challenges. So please don't forget to click the link below and check out all the information below. And leave me a message or a comment if there's anything that you want me to help you with, or any videos that you would like me to make, or any specific meditations. I'm here for you. Okay guys, thank you so much for today. And don't forget, fake it, face it. I was like, wait a minute. No, don't fake it. Face it till you make it. Thank you.